So now we have the final bevel angle cut on all three sides of our 22 triangles. And now we need to start assembling those together with tape to make sub-assemblies. And then we will glue the whole thing together here in a minute. So I always use clear packing tape. I like this heavy-duty clear tape because you can see your joint the whole time you're assembling it. And masking tape or blue tape, it's not sticky enough, and it's not very durable. So what we do is just on these, I try to keep this line parallel to the outside edge, and just take your time and assemble these. It's best if you align the outside corners here. If there's any misalignment, it would be on the inside. So just push them together tight. Push the tape across. So it's nice to keep those outside corners nice and pointy, because it helps you align the pieces a lot easier. Okay, and take my little knife here and cut this tape out of the middle. And trim these outside edges. You don't want to get a piece of tape folded over the edge when you do a glue joint, because glue won't stick to the tape. Okay, then we can check it. Just kind of bring it up and together. And that is just about right. Everything comes together, no major gaps. There's a little bit of space between them for some glue. If you have to really squeeze them together too tight, all of the glue gets squeezed out and you don't have a very strong joint. So you want a little bit of space in that. So that one looks good. Put it over here in the pile. So I've already got 2 of those done. So we need the 3 groups of 5. And then we need a group of 4. And this will basically just be a big triangle like that. So with these, you don't have to worry about the lines because they're not going to line up anyway. But put them together best you can. Your tape is pressed down tight. Trim these edges. Okay, so that's our group of 4. And this won't go on until final assembly. And then we have a single piece that's going to go in by itself. So next we will talk about the final assembly here. Final assembly time. When I do my bigger spheres, I generally glue up the pentagons, the hexagons, set them aside, let those dry, and then come back, assemble the shell, let that dry, and come back and put the pentagons in. But with these, there's only 20 pieces, and it works better if you assemble it all at once. Of course, that means that you have to have all your stuff together, and you kind of have to know what you're doing because the glue is going to set fast and you're going to have a lot going on at once. So I would definitely recommend using Titebond Extend wood glue. Regular Titebond glue, you might have two minutes to get your pieces aligned before they start getting permanently stuck. With this, they say you have 15 minutes, but really it's maybe an extra 5 minutes. So you have to have all of this assembled in about 10 minutes. This glue is worthwhile for that, to give you some extra time. You want to have, I've got a tape machine here, but you can do it all with just a roll of tape. You're going to have a lot of glue out at once, so you're going to have to wipe the glue off as you go, or it's going to become so sticky you can't do anything with it. So I have this little Tupperware bowl here. It's screwed down to a board, and I use this for a finger squeegee. When I wipe the glue off, I get the glue off my finger here quickly. And I also have some pieces of paper, and these are just cut out of a hardware catalog. And when I glue my pieces and set them down here, you're going to have a lot of glue that squeezes out the back side. You put a piece of paper down first, then each time you can put that paper aside and you have a nice clean work surface again. That way you don't have a bunch of glue building up on your bench. You want to have a little hammer, a little piece of wood to tap some joints into place, and you're going to have a little knife. So what I would also recommend is doing a bit of a dry fit on this so that you know how it's going to be assembled before you get the glue out. It's going to save you a lot of frustration if you kind of know what you're doing first. The dry fit, we want to use just a small piece of tape to avoid pulling all the rest of the tape back off. So we're going to fold these in, put a small tape across the joint. Okay, so we have that one didn't stick. Two of these are going to attach to each other, just like this. It's going to be the first piece you do. I'm showing you this now because once you get glue, it's going to be harder. We're going to glue that crack, fold this in, clean it, and then we will tape here and put our third group of 5 in. Like that. Then we will tape this together. So you're putting those together so you have one single triangle there. That'll be the last piece that goes in. This group of 4, it's got to be glued all at once. So I'm going to glue inside here, these 3, set those aside. We're going to glue all 6 of these faces here, and then this piece will fit on top of here, and it'll fold down like that. And don't panic at this point. It's going to be best if you put some kind of mark on the very center triangle here so that you know you're going to be taping these one at a time as they go around. So you're going to get this one fitting right, get it taped, move to that one, and that'll just help you remember where you are and which one is the top. It's already been glued. And then you're going to flip that over and put the last piece in, which is easy. And if it is sinking low like that, you're going to have to take your knife and you're going to have to kind of pull up on a little bit. You want to work each one of these joints as you glue it, so that when you get done with one sub-assembly, you can move on to the next and you know it's right. Don't wait till the end to try to move your joints around. So that's the dry fit. Now we have to do all that with glue, and we have about 10 minutes to do that. So I'll pull it back apart here, pull the tape off of it, and we will go for the real thing. So once the glue starts flowing, it is go time. Not a lot of time to mess around. Just work each section one by one, get it fitting the best you can before you move to the next one. And don't panic. It's gonna go fast, but if you cut your joints correctly, everything should fit together just right. So we will get started. Grab one of your first groups of 5 here. Kind of hold it in the palm of your hand. And we want to be pretty generous with the glue. It's better to have some squeeze out than not have enough in the joint. So a good 3/16 bead in the bottom of each one of these. When you close the joint up, it's going to kind of squish itself back into the joint. Take that, flop it down on your paper, and just slowly close it together. Let glue find its way in there. Clean that off best you can. Tape doesn't stick well to glue, so try to be as neat as you can. Get you a good sized piece of tape, press it down there, and I like this tape because it kind of stretches a little bit. And I'll press that down over here. Now go ahead and trim that extra tape off of there. And so that's what your paper's for. It's kind of get all this glue out of here. You don't have to, but it will get all over your hands and make it even harder. So I try to get this piece as clean as possible. I set it down, and you want to kind of look at your joints, make sure they're all flush. And that one looks pretty good, so I'm gonna set it over here. Get that paper, put it out of the way. Grab your next one. Same process. I'll try to speed things up here a little bit. Plenty of glue. Together. That looks good. All right. Third group. I don't want to jinx it, but so far I'm doing pretty good. I'm not getting glue all over my shirt. And this tape sticks really well to itself, so you can get one corner of your tape on your other tape you already put on there. It's going to hold really nice. That one. One little joint that's kind of sticking up. I'll show you what to do about that here. Get this glue off of there first. Okay, this joint here is a little bit high, and you want to try to get those as level as possible because that's where your pattern will be. So I take my little square in little piece of maple here, put it right on that piece, and tap it with a hammer. That kind of drives that piece up and flushes everything up. Okay, so take this little bit of time here to get the glue rubbed off your finger. Okay. Take one of our groups of 5 here. We'll call it a pentagon. Right next to one of the other ones. Take your time at this point and get them I build a lot of these, so you gotta have 3 hands sometimes. Okay. Open it up gently like a clamshell. Get that glue in there. Okay. These inside corners are kind of hard to clean out, so we'll set that down. And so now we tape to that piece. Put our 3rd pentagon in. Just like that. Okay, so now you have 2 joints to glue. You want to put some glue down on this crack here. And then also on this face. Slowly close that together. Just like that. Clean that off. Give the tape a little stretch. See that? A little bit of stretchy tape, just enough to pull that joint tight. At this point, go ahead and put some extra tape on there if you need it. There we go. That one looks good. Okay, flip it up like this. Again, don't be afraid to get some glue in there because you only have one time to put it in there. So just kind of squeeze that up a little bit to spread that glue and set that piece down. Because we have to glue all 6 of these edges at once. Put more glue than you think you need on there. Okay. Our group of 4. Set it on there. We have our top marked, or that's. So these joints here, we want to kind of just find the one that lines up the best. Start with it. Just try to avoid getting glue under your tape because it does not stick. I didn't mention it, but it's probably a good idea to have a damp cloth nearby to help clean your hands. Okay. Pull together good. And this is where I want to get a longer piece of tape and cross over several of these triangles because I need to pull that together there. Hold it down, stretch your tape real good, and then we'll pull that joint together. Tap that with a hammer. Take care of these little areas here as you go, that way you don't forget about them. Okay, we have one more. This one's probably going to take some big tape. Get more surface area down here so it doesn't pull off. And it breaks. Don't pull it that hard. You want to pull it just hard enough not to break it. I'd like to say cut, but unfortunately, we cannot cut. Must have been weak tape. I need to send that back to the factory. Okay. We're doing good. Doing good, we got time. That's where it's important to have that mark there because even after the ball rolled around, I can get my bearings back to where I was. pull quite so hard this time. There we go. This is where the clear tape is good because you can still see what you're doing. And this one should be fairly easy. Now, if there's a gap somewhere in it, it's probably going to be right here because all your other pieces are pretty well pulled up, except for this one. This side's a little bit high, so I just want to kind of encourage it to go down. You can take your knife and pry up a little bit. So at this point, you just want to check it around again. If there's anything to open back up on you, you've got a little bit of time left for the glue set, so some more tape on it. Push those together. Now the gaps on the outside of this, if they're tiny, aren't going to be a huge problem because this will all get sanded off. These corners all get sanded off. What you're concerned about is the gap being on the inside because you're going to be sanding off almost a ½ an inch on this. So if your joint's open on the inside, it's going to show. Even though it's a perfect joint now, it may be open once you sand through it. So it's kind of like a Christmas present. You never really know what's inside there until you sand it down. So just do the best you can to get all these joints tight. There's one there that could use some more tape. And the frustrating thing about these is they don't always work out. I mean, you can do everything correctly and you may have an open gap or some misalignment, but just do it as perfectly as you can, and if it doesn't work out, you try again. All right, well, that's about it. This kind of glue takes a little bit longer to cure, so we'll let it set overnight, and I will keep checking it here for the next 5 minutes or so just to make sure nothing's popping loose. Generally, if your joints are cut correctly, the glue is gonna clamp it for you. Just keep going around and kind of pressing and looking, and tomorrow we will put this in the lathe and make it round.